Little Miss Country. Little Miss Country always did the opposite of what you would think she would do. For instance, if you asked her to switch on the television, she would switch on the lights. For example, if you asked her the time, she would tell you the date. And she always said the opposite of what she really meant. Mind you, it wasn't exactly her fault. It was because she lived in a place called Muddleland, where everything is so messed up and muddled. You don't know whether you're coming or going or coming, as they said in Muddleland. It's a very strange place indeed. The worms don't live in the holes in Muddleland. They live in trees, and the bird lives in holes. And if you want a loaf of bread, you don't go to the baker's, you go to the butcher's. The baker sells bananas. One morning, Little Miss Country was having breakfast. Roast beef and Yorkshire pudding. There was a knock at the door. Little Miss Country didn't hear it at first because it was more of a tap than a knock. Tap, tap. But she did hear it eventually and went to see who it was. She opened the door. "Hello," said that little voice. Little Miss Country looked down and down again, and there stood Mr. Small. He raised his hat. "Hello," he said again. "Goodbye," smiled Little Miss Country. Mr. Small looked puzzled, as well he might. "I wonder if you can help me," he asked. Little Miss Country smiled. "Of course I can't," she said. "Oh dear," said Mr. Small. "You see, I'm lost." "Well," she said, "nice to meet you, Mr. Lost." No, said Mr. Small. "I'm trying to find somebody called Little Miss Country." "That's you," laughed Little Miss Country. "I have a letter for her," said Mr. Small. "Oh, bad. I don't get any telephone calls," she said. "I think I'll go," said the confused Mr. Small. "Goodbye." "Hello," said Little Miss Country and shut the door. Mr. Small went home, shaking his head. The letter was from Mr. Happy, inviting Little Miss Country to his birthday party. Mr. Happy had never met Little Miss Country, but he had heard about her and thought it would be nice to have her to his party. The invitation was for 3 o'clock on Tuesday, March 14th. At 2 o'clock on Monday, March 13th, Little Miss Country knocked on Mr. Happy's door. "Happy Christmas," said Little Miss Country, and thrust a parcel into Mr. Happy's hand. Mr. Happy was puzzled. "Who are you?" he asked. "I'm Little Miss Sunshine," replied Little Miss Country. "No, you're not," said Mr. Happy. "I know Little Miss Sunshine, and she's not a bit like you." Then he stopped and thought. "Oh," he smiled, "I know who you really are. You're Little Miss Country, aren't you? I've heard that you always say and do the opposite of what you mean." "You better come in," said Mr. Happy. "No, thank you," smiled Little Miss Country. Mr. Happy led her into his living room. "What a horrible room," she said. Mr. Happy grinned. He was beginning to realize that everything he had heard about Little Miss Country was true. "Would you like a cup of tea?" he asked. "I can't think of anything I'd like less," said Little Miss Country. Mr. Happy grinned again and went to put the kettle on. After his tea, Mr. Happy took Little Miss Country to meet some of his friends. He had to explain to them all that what she was saying was the exact opposite of what she really meant. "Aren't you thin?" she said to Mr. Greedy. You have very short arms, she said to Mr. Tickle. I like your bed, she said to Mr. Fuzzy. Well, she said eventually, thank you for the most perfect afternoon. Now I must go home before it gets light. Perfect, asked Mr. Happy. Perfectly dreadful, she agreed, and off she went. I say, chuckled Mr. Greedy to Mr. Happy, you do know some funny people. You can say that again, laughed Mr. Happy. You do know some funny people, said Mr. Greedy. Mr. Happy grinned and went home. At home, Mr. Happy remembered the parcel that Little Miss Country had given him. It must be a birthday present, he said, and he hurried to where he had left the parcel and unwrapped it. Inside was indeed a present and a card. He opened the birthday card first. Indeed, it said, "Many miserable returns of the day." And would you like to know what the present was? A pair of shoes. Well, not quite a pair of socks. One sock was white and the other sock was black. And as Little Miss Country would say, that is the beginning of the story.